You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
He is asked about how Syracuse football has changed since he has taken over.
We having fun. Yeah, we having fun, man. We just compete. When you guys get to watch them, like practice is done, look. They're still working on extra stuff. Like, we want to get better. Like, we understand there's not a lot of time in the day, so we just got to work. And we just focused on the day, though. Like, we men that live for the day. We get up, we pray, we lock in on that day, we dominate that day. Our things will not go our way that day. Some of them will, and we learn from each other, and we push. We love each other. We're around each other. Like, you know, we're just trying to build. We're trying to become more and more. The more men we get on the field, we're going to be straight.
You know what's fun? Winning. You know what Syracuse football did in the first season with Fran Brown? They won a lot, 10-3. So, yeah, that's a big difference between this year and the years before Fran Brown. I also think one of the main differences between Fran Brown Syracuse and pre-Fran Brown Syracuse, there's a lot more swagger with Syracuse football. That's a good thing, I might add, because there's a new sense of confidence. Like, all right, we can get behind Fran Brown. He's no nonsense. He's tough. He's got an acronym, DART. We can all get behind. So there is a new swagger with Syracuse football that I have seen in recent years prior to Fran Brown. And back to the schedule. It's really difficult. And FanDuel, we talked about this, the over-under for Syracuse is only 5.5 regular season wins, so right on the border of making a bowl or not. Let's be honest. If prior Syracuse coaches were the head coach right now over the last 15 years, do you really think that Syracuse would have an over-under of 5.5? My guess is it would be a lot lower. But Fran Brown, they're giving him a lot of respect and saying, hey, yeah, you have a really difficult schedule. We still think you're a borderline bowl team, and I do think they will go slightly over 5.5. So that's really the big difference. There's more swagger with Syracuse football now, and hopefully in the years to come, it will translate to more wins. We saw that, of course, in year one. Next question, Fran Brown is asked about the potential Syracuse football 2025 draft picks.
Dart, and they all tough. Meek's tough. OG, tough. Nobody can catch like that, right? Cinco, tough, could play all three positions. Clarence Lewis could play all three positions. Secondary, also ran a 4.48 here at our thing. 37-inch vert. He did a lot of good things. What's my other guy? Our left tackle was one of the biggest ones in the conference. Only gave up 1 sack the entire year. Played every snap the entire season. Also, so, you know, having that when it came to Savion Washington was like amazing to have that. Marlo Wax ran a 4.63 here. Extremely fast, 6 foot, all-time leading tackler here. He's been working on his body from when I got here all the way through, and you can see the work that he was putting in. Justin Barron's just becoming a backer, so his better football at that position will be ahead of him. He should be drafted also. Who else am I missing? There's different guys that was there. That might be the main. Oh, and then the toughest one of them all. 2 of them left, but the toughest one, LeQuint Allen, he better get picked in like 2nd, 3rd round if they want to win. And then Fadel Diggs, you know, he don't accept no. Like, he just works extremely hard. See him go out there and run a 4.57, 225. I think he did it 28 times. I mean, so, like, those guys compete, right? Anytime it's time for us to do something, they're there, they want to do it, they like to compete. I think that you'll be getting a bunch of tough kids that already went and proved you wrong when you said they was going to be, like, 13th in the conference last year. They made us be number 4, right, overall in the conference. And just different pieces of it right there. Like, so without them, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
That is a long way of Fran Brown just hyping up his guys. And that's what you are supposed to do in that situation, because it's in the best interest of your program to have as many players as possible go from college to the pros, regardless of the sport that you are talking about. If Syracuse football has 5, 6, 7 players drafted in this year's draft, guess what? That helps recruiting tremendously, because you want to show recruits that, hey, under my leadership, I'm speaking for Fran Brown, look, we send guys to the NFL. And if we don't send you to the NFL, guess what? We have a whole plan of how we're going to get you a job making good money immediately after college. So this is just Fran Brown hyping up his own guys to the media. And we just have to hope, like I kind of said with Kyle McCord, that he goes as high as possible. We have to hope that as many Syracuse players as possible go in the NFL draft and hope that they go as high as humanly possible. Next question. Fran Brown is asked about 2 specific plays that changed the whole season for Syracuse football, and not in a good way. 4th and 9 against Stanford and 4th and 1 against Boston College. Here's why Fran Brown has Syracuse wearing those shirts.
We win, we make those 2 plays. What we was planning last year, where we at? Conference championship. We beat them, then, you know what I'm saying? Whoever it may be, I don't want to say, then they try to get out. I don't care if they get out. But we're in the conference championship. We win that. Then we get a chance to be in the playoffs. So it's that much. You know, I don't know what play it'll be. So I want to make sure that I remind them of the 2 plays changed our season. Right? Pitt beat the bull crap out of us. Outside of that, we be all right.
Apologies for the audio there. It was a little bit low. I'll explain it to you. Basically, Fran Brown is saying that those 2 plays changed Syracuse's season. And at the end of the quote, he says that Pitt beat the bullcrap out of them. He's not wrong. They did. That was the one real blowout loss for Syracuse football a year ago. But back to the crux of the quote here. Think about it this way. If Syracuse beats Stanford and they beat Boston College, those were close games that Syracuse should have won those games. They were the better team, but they just did not win. They didn't perform like the better team in those games. If they had, though, they would have been Indiana. That's who they could have been. They were very close to being Indiana, 11-1 in the ACC. And like Fran Brown said, the opportunity to play in the ACC title game, you win that, you go to the college football playoff. And even if they lost that, they're probably still in the college football playoff. We saw SMU at 11-1 lose the conference title game and not be penalized. Good. You shouldn't be penalized in your conference game. But also keep in mind, and of course, we only want to talk about what could have been in a positive way, but also there is a what could have been in a negative way, which is, Syracuse needed overtime to beat UNLV. They had a linebacker drop a game-ending interception in that game. They needed overtime to beat Virginia Tech, and they needed a big comeback in that one. Same thing with Miami when they stormed back from 21 down. So at the end of the day, I don't think Syracuse football last year got lucky. I don't think they got unlucky with their record. I think they finished exactly what they were. They were a 9-3 regular season team, and they ended up winning their bowl game. But that's the fine line in football, is that a bounce here, a bounce there. You could be 7-5. You could be 11-1. That much. That's all it takes in football. Final question to listen and react to. Fran Brown is asked about Zeed Haynes retiring from football. Take a listen.
Chilling, yeah, school, he getting a degree. He ain't playing right now. He ain't playing no more. He gonna chill. He put the cleats up, but he's gonna dominate the work world. I mean, just a hell of a guy, great kid. We're excited about him. But that's why we got Tyshawn Russell. You might not have seen. You want to talk about the guy not there, but you didn't want to talk about Tyshawn Russell and how good he's doing, and Jalen Orangeby. And you know who we still got? Boyd Payne. You know what I'm saying? So we got those guys. And Gil, he was at the track meet today. You know what's crazy? Our 4x1 team, 3 football players are running in that. Malachi Coleman, Malachi James, and Darryl Gill. So you guys told me you got to start to ask the right questions. You over here worrying about somebody that's not playing, or you could have got more information on that. You got to let them. I'm gonna end up doing your job if you keep that up there.
Look, someone had to ask, and that reporter had to fall on the sword. Zeed Haynes, of course, it comes out, I believe, right before or right after that press conference that he was retiring from football and he wasn't on the spring roster. That's a question that you have to ask. Fran Brown, he kind of showed up the reporter a little bit and answered it in a different way, hyping up other players. I think the better way to frame that question in the future would be something along the lines of, with Zeed Haynes not being on the roster or retiring from football, how do you see the offense replacing him moving forward? And that would allow Fran Brown to hype up other players while also potentially giving you an answer as far as what happened with Zeed Haynes. But look, someone had to ask it. What was up with Zeed Haynes? And Fran Brown showed up the reporter a little bit. I hope